Welcome to Geography. This is video 1.1. That's Unit 1, Video 1. More than just maps. Geography is a physical science and the social science combined. We are going to study human geography, which is a social science. It talks about the cultural features of certain places. Geography's definition is the study of the earth and of the ways that people interact with it, so it is way more than just maps. In geography, there are 5 themes: location, place, human environment interaction, movement, and region. We will focus on human environment interaction as well as movement, but we will touch gently on location, place, and region. To begin with, we'll refamiliarize ourselves with some of the basics of location, place, and region. If we look at the globe up here, we see some basic lines of latitude and longitude and some basic definitions which you probably remember from middle school. Remember, the equator is the line of latitude that's 0 degrees. Anything north of that has a bigger number than 0, and anything south of that has a bigger number than 0. And finally, prime meridian is a line of longitude which is measured at 0 degrees. Anything to the west of that is measured above 0. Anything to the east of that is measured above 0. This division or grid line of the globe gives us an accurate location for specific places, regions, etc. around the world. Let's take a look at a place like Madagascar. Madagascar is a small island off the east coast of Africa. Very good movie about Madagascar. But let's think about Madagascar's location and what's its place. Well, to describe Madagascar, we would look at the fact that it's in the southern hemisphere, so it's below the equator, south of the equator, and it's east of the prime meridian, so it's in the southern and eastern part of the globe if we were to divide the globe up into 4 parts. These numbers here represent the lines of latitude and longitude for the capital in Madagascar. Those are the specific coordinates. Below, you'll see the location, very specific location of Byron, Minnesota. Byron, Minnesota has lines of latitude and longitude which dictate exactly its position on the Earth. It is located in the northern hemisphere, as we are above the Earth's equator, very far from the Earth's equator, as it is very cold, and we are west of the prime meridian, which runs through England. So 44 degrees, 1 minute, 55 seconds north is our line of latitude where Byron is located, and 92 degrees, 38 minutes, and 52 seconds west of the prime meridian is our exact location. So location answers for us where the hemispheres, the lines of latitude and longitude, as well as the absolute location. Where on the globe is it absolutely, in accordance with the grid system that latitude and longitude lays out. So that's location. Let's now take a look at something a little bit more specific, like place. This is South America. If we zoom in South America, we see Punta Arenas, Chile, which is the largest city south of the 46th parallel. That's a very low line of latitude. It is very near the Antarctica. Temps range from 30 degrees to 60 degrees all year round, and it snows from June to September because their seasons in the southern hemisphere are opposite of those in the northern hemisphere. The place is very arid and very windy, and it is only 881 miles from Antarctica. So place gives you more specific information, more detail about a truly unique place than location does. Location tells you specifically where it is. Place tells you a little bit more about the actual place. Let's move over to one of our next themes. So from location and place, the science of it, we move to human environment interaction. Human environment interaction takes a different look everywhere around the world. If we look at the Democratic Republic of Congo, which is a Central African country, we know that we could find easily the location and we could easily describe the place as it is hot and rainy because it is home to the second largest rainforest on Earth, right behind the Amazon. But to look more specifically, we need to study the human and environment interaction. In that area, logging, mining, and tourism are the ways that the humans in the area most likely interact with their country. So we have some examples here of some Congolese mining and logging their area based on the environment that they live in. That's human-environment interaction. From human-environment interaction, another theme of geography is diffusion or movement. That's the spread of ideas, peoples, and technology from a certain area. If we look at the Inuit, who are a native group of northern Canada and the United States, they have a very specific culture that has diffused throughout the area. We see examples of the Inuit, their sled dog racing and their use of sled dogs for daily life, as well as the structures of their homes and their culture diffuse from this area of very, very northern Canada into more southern parts of Canada, into Alaska, and over into Greenland. So diffusion or movement of the people, ideas, and technology, as well as culture, is a major theme of geography. And finally, the last theme of geography is region. Region is most easily understood by looking at several different maps of a certain region. If we look at San Francisco, California, we can easily find the location and the place. We could probably easily describe the human-environment interaction as well as the diffusion, how that culture got there. But looking more specifically at the region, we can study the GIS system, that's the Geographic Information System. That's layers of data that are all put together to understand things like topography, the soil and water content of the area, who owns what, how dense the population is, etc. The GIS system provides us with reference maps. We can see all sorts of things in reference maps. We can see physical and human-made features on one map. Like, for example, in this map, we can see the human-made features, which are the city streets, of course, the grid lines, as well as some natural features, which could be waterways or hills, etc. We see another reference map here, which shows some natural features, San Francisco Bay, as well as the Pacific Ocean. Along with man-made features, in red, we see major highways. Reference maps put those two things together to describe a region, those human-made and natural features. It provides us with a scale, so how big is it? In this example, 5 miles is equivalent to 1 inch on the map versus the actual scale, because we wouldn't want an actual life-size map of San Francisco. Using reference maps, we can figure out where exactly we are on the Earth. We can look at a country like Afghanistan. The use of GPS determines locations, and the use of the Geographic Information Systems, the GIS, captures, stores, and displays data related to that location, which gives us some very specific information about Afghanistan. So therefore, you can travel there via Google Earth without actually ever setting foot on a plane or a boat. So there's lots of different things to understand in geography. Furthermore, in understanding some of those maps and some of those regions, we can look at a place like Manila, which is the capital of the Philippines. Philippines is a chain of several islands, which makes up its own country in the Pacific Ocean. The Manila, Philippines has a very dense population. There's approximately 111,000 people per square mile. If you think about that, that is a lot of people per 1 square mile, which means that people probably live in a very densely populated urban area. This means that the population is going to be very urban, but also very interdependent. People that live in an urban area probably can't farm for themselves, so therefore they're very interdependent. They rely on one another and rely on other systems to feed and survive. Geographers study, and they want to study, how humans interact with their environment. Where does someone in Manila work? Where do they get food, etc.? What's the location? All these things together, these 5 themes, are what geographers seek to understand. So in geography, we're going to study 7 specific topics broken down into 6 units, the last 2 topics being combined. So in studying those 7 topics, the first one we'll look at is spatial geography. That's Unit 1, studying some of the basics about maps, the geographic information systems, to solve problems around the world. The second unit we'll look at is population geography, how we understand the distribution of people and the factors that influence change. For example, why, in looking at this map, if we see the population density, the darker the color, the more people there are, why do most people in Russia live all the way on the west coast of Russia? There's huge expanses of land over here that hardly anyone lives in. So looking at population geography helps us understand those population patterns around the world. The third unit we'll look at is economic geography. Geographers then try to understand how people construct systems like economies and governments in their environment to deal with scarcity. So how does someone in the Philippines create a system to deal with scarcity of land versus someone in Russia where there's probably not much of a scarcity of land. Next, we'll look at cultural geography, the characteristics of life based on the environment. So why does culture develop in certain areas around the world based on what it looks like outside in the environment? Then we'll also look at political geography, so understanding the cooperation and conflict among people to control Earth's surface. So understanding why people in the Ukraine, there's such a big bubble of people ranging from ages 19 to 79, but there's very few young people and there's very few elderly people. So trying to look at and understand why political systems are organized the way that they are. And finally, the last two units will combine. Agriculture will be one component, that's the use of the environment and its effect on humans, so how we use the environment in each place around the world. And we'll combine that with urban geography, how we use location and the relationships of cities and their inhabitants to understand the world. So agricultural and urban will go together, even though they might seem like complete opposites. So those are the 7 topics that we'll study under the 5 themes of geography. So that was video 1.1, just an introduction to what we will study in World Geography class.